corners of Ireland. I'm so proud today to be here. I'm so sad that we weren't going to get into Our Lady Shrine today, because I'm a descendant of the Byrne family who witnessed the apparition here at Knock. 5 of my ancestors saw Our Lady here at Knock. Now, my father was reared in the family home where the ancestors lived, in a thatched house where the basilica is now built. So, in Monsignor Horn's time, he bought the farm and the house of the family, and then he later built the basilica. But the great love for Knock and Our Lady of Knock, and so have all my people, and my father especially. He said to us, why are you going to Fossil and Lourdes and to have Our Lady down the road? So it's a great honour today to be here, and all the wonderful people. I didn't think this would happen today in Knock with all the security, and I couldn't believe when we got through the barriers. I said, we're in. I can't believe it. So, and then they weren't stopping us, so I just kept looking back and more people coming in, and I was so overjoyed to be here today. Good. I just tell you about Mary Byrne. She was my great-great-granddad. She was the one that was mostly written about, because her description of the apparition was regarded as very accurate. And the family had just come back from the Canvey, which is near Westport, and in the Canvey there's a statue of St. John the Evangelist. And the Byrne family recognised St. John the Evangelist from the statue that they saw in the Canvey, because the other visionaries didn't know who the third person was. Like, they knew Our Lady and St. Joseph, but they didn't know which saint had come with Our Lady. So,
it was very wet.
It was a very wet day, and I think the apparition lasted for about 2 hours. They prayed the rosary continually, yes.
Would you like to say the rosary yourself?
Oh, I don't. Yeah. But I'll just tell you one more. The information is coming to me now. When my father told us that some years subsequent to Mary Byrne's death, the grave diggers were digging a grave for a relation in the same grave, and the grave digger accidentally put the shovel through Mary Byrne's coffin, and her body was found to be incorrupt at the time, and that was some years after she died. But the priests were told, but they said, like, just say nothing, just close it up. So, but the church are aware of that. So I think she was a very holy woman, and on her deathbed she was interviewed by the bishop, and she was asked about her testimony, and she said there on the Bible she swore that she would not change one iota of her testimony. Yeah. So, we will save Ireland. She will, and she's with us today. God bless.
Actually, this is a little book that I found when we were in Patrick, and it's a story of Knock. Sorry, we keep finishing and starting again. But it was 12 pence. Well, the price on it was 12 pence. And it's absolutely beautiful. But I'm actually, if you have a minute, because I wanted to talk about the apparition, because that's really obviously why we are here. But there's a nice description of it here, which is brief, and it'll just give you a feeling for what that day was like here in Knock. So I'll just read this little bit here. The humble people of the Knock of 1879, hidden away here in the west of Ireland, could not possibly have foreseen the climax of that day in August, when throughout the day the very elements seemed to be at war. Tradition has it that Knock has been blessed by St. Patrick, that he had prophesied that one day it would be a holy place. But the people were scarcely thinking of that as they looked out at the rains that beat furiously down upon their little village of a dozen houses. Towards evening, a little girl of the village, accompanying the priest's housekeeper home, stopped suddenly as she came in sight of the gable of the little church. She must have rubbed her eyes in astonishment at what she saw, for there, standing a little out from the gable, were 3 life-size figures. Her spontaneous exclamation at the sight is significant. "Oh look," she said, "they are moving." Movement is a sign of life. It was living beings that she was gazing at, living beings with a presence, and that is the significance of her next gesture. She ran home to her mother, her family, that they might see what she saw and verify her vision. The priest's housekeeper, who remained, suddenly remembered something. She had passed this way a little while ago when going to her neighbours. She had seen what she took to be statues. She had not taken much notice of them, but these were no statues that moved and that had a presence. It's not difficult to imagine the scene at the house of the Burns when the young girl returned so unexpectedly. She was breathless and excited. She told them of what had happened. The mother listened. Her brother was skeptical, but when the girl dashed out again as quickly as she had entered, the brother asked the mother to follow her. Something was the matter. Of this he was certain, because despite his original attitude to the news, he followed in a moment. So convinced was he on arrival at the scene that he became the messenger who brought the others. Soon there was a little knot of people, 14 in all, standing and kneeling in front of the gable where we stood earlier and said our prayers, and gazing at the apparition. The night was very wet, the rain was still beating angrily down, the wind was sending it in driving sheets against the gable of the church. It was as if the very elements would obliterate, extinguish the light that emanated from the object of their gaze. But the apparition showed no sign of disappearing. It was immune to the attack of wind and rain and storm. It did not extend protection to the onlookers, one of whom described his condition as that of being drenched. But the gable of the church and the ground beneath the vision was dry as if not a drop of rain was falling. So I'm not going to go into, this is a super little book, but that will give you a taste of what actually happened. And of course our history is being blotted out by the regime, and we are being ordered to forget our history, and our children are no longer being taught history. Can you imagine? I mean, they do not make any references, I imagine, to Knock in the junior and senior schools of this country anymore. But I think it's important for us to remember the actual events that were taken very, very seriously by the Vatican and by the various committees that examined apparitions. These were, we believe them for our faith, but these were scientifically proven. And that is what terrifies the enemy. So I actually watched a film about the apparition the other night, and it was so beautiful. I'm going to put it up on my website either later or tomorrow on gemmaodoherty.com, and it will refresh your memories of being taught about the apparition here. And also it is lovely to listen to Dana's Our Lady of Knock, which is, it nearly has 1 million views, I think. But again, you know, these are the important parts of our history, our culture, our collective memory that we need to bring back to life, that our children should know so that they should pass down to their children and grandchildren. So this is what we're doing by being here today. So thank you very much to Mrs. Byrne who has gone. That was lovely to hear that. Right, we really will finish at this stage.
One last hymn, Gemma.
Yeah.
One last hymn. Hail, Queen of Heaven, the ocean star, guide of the wanderers here below, thrown on life's surge, we claim thy care, save us from peril and from woe. Mother of Christ, Star of the sea, pray for the wanderers, pray for us. O gentle, chaste, and spotless maid, we sinners make our prayers through thee. Remind thy Son that he has paid the price of our iniquity. Virgin most pure, Star of the sea, pray for the sinners, pray for us. In anima naher, of the Son Vic, of the Son Spirit, name. Amen.